Well, we're back. Well, John, you were telling me earlier that when your brothers went to war, World War II, you were left to farm
Yeah,
your dad's. Okay.
I was, Dad was trying to farm at that time. He leased, well, he only had 50 acres of his own, and he leased 250, we were farming 550 acres. Pasture, and not all farm ground, but running pasture, run all of the stock over there. It was just Dad, and he couldn't get help. And when the Second World War was on, I went to first year in Sheridan's school, 7th or 8th grade, Faulkner School.
You went to Faulkner School in the 8th grade. Okay.
The 8th grade. And the buses would come in an hour early, pick us up an hour early, bring us into town, and they run a second route. They set the same thing for the high school. And then they'd take those kids home first, and then they'd take us home. Well, when I got home late at night, and I had all of the cows to milk, or well, along with Dad, we had all the chores to do, and so on and so forth, and I had all to do before I went to school. Plus, there was no gas, there was no way I could play sports or do anything. So I went to freshman year, and I quit school.
You did. You only went to freshman year.
Yeah.
And that was at the old high school.
At the old high school. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, and what year was that? Do you remember?
Gosh, I don't remember just exactly what year it was. Probably 43 maybe.
Okay. So then you quit high school to be at home and help your dad.
And I stayed right there. And like they asked me so much time about Sheridan. Even then, I didn't go to Sheridan. Didn't go to town. We had so much work to do, and Dad was going to go to town. He'd go into town and leave me out there, and I'd be a farmer. Dad would go to town, so I never go there for, I might go a month or so, such a matter without ever getting in town. I really didn't know.
So what did you do for fun when you were, what did you do for fun when you were out there?
All the time during the Depression years and so on and so forth, what we done for fun was the hounds. We kept hounds, and if we had a little bit of time in the summertime, we'd go out and let the hounds run raccoon and tree them and so on and so forth. We didn't like the skunks. They always kind of greased us up. But in the winter time, we hunted varmints, anything. And then we kept the hounds for your own protection, because the coyotes and fox and stuff would come in and get our lambs and etc. So we kept them run back and killed.
And that was kind of the famous picture of the hounds with the bear. Isn't that the bear hunting?
That was before this.
That was before that?
That was before that, yeah.
That was with Jasper.
Yeah, oh, okay. Yeah, but that was a tradition that you kept going.
It always did. I think most all of the people that live out in the country kept hounds. And stuff.
John's father was really well known for his hounds, though.
No, not
Wasn't he?
for
Or his, was that your grandson?
Stock dogs.
Stock dogs.
stock dogs.
What are
My dad-
stock dogs?
My
Like
dad,
me, their dogs are
my dad trained stock dogs for other people. Not only he had really, really good dogs for himself.
Wow,
He was a master
really?
for sheep, for handling sheep and stuff.
Ah, okay.
I have a pertinent question for this man.
Sure.
Tell the truth. Who was the first girl? Let's go back a bit. Who was the first girl you ever kissed?
Oh, good heavens.
Oh God.
He will get this.
We'll get this.
There were so many, right?
You didn't get to stay after school, so it was kind of
No,
hard.
even when in the later years when we started, my friends were still going to high school, and if I got off in the evening, like Leon Thomas was a real good friend of mine, and Lloyd Ferris and ones like that, we'd just go out and drive the cars around and try to find somebody to get us some beer or something.
Yeah.
And
It hasn't changed a bit.
we didn't date girls. We just,
Probably couldn't afford to.
well, I think probably all of the mothers was afraid to let them.
The previous age.
So he's not answering that question.
Hey.
He's not answering that question.
Abby or Brendy, stop that.
He's sure skirting around the
He is skirting.
But getting back to the question,
He's skirting around that question. I can see that right now.
No, I have no idea. I couldn't tell you.
good answer.
we all know the last one.
Oh, so you didn't go to any of the dances out there? And I heard there was a Grange out there.
Well, there was a Grange, and we would go down to the dances, and we'd go in and peek in around the door and watch, but we didn't go in and dance.
You didn't?
No, not
Who were the players? Who played the music down there?
CAC.
CAC? Who's CAC?
Lloyd Agee.
Really?
Now, have you ever heard of CAC?
No. Tell me about CAC.
Oh my gosh.
He was my dad's brother. He was a character and a half.
Well, tell me about him.
He was known all over Oregon
Yeah.
Really?
He had a little band.
for his band.
He had a little country band. He was a trained musician.
Played
They
the fiddle.
sent him as a boy to Portland, and he trained down there. He had a chance. He played the violin and any string instrument.
How did he learn all that?
That's what I say. They sent him to Portland.
Oh, they did? Okay.
He went down there in school, and he was offered a position in like the Portland Symphonic.
Really?
Such about it. Yeah, he could make that violin. You know, he loved to play hoedowns and so on.
Mhm.
Boy, I'll tell you what, he could really play you some music.
Wow.
He was really good on the violin.
I'll have to look him up.
But he
Huh.
loved to drink and fight, and he liked to have his little band, and he just went around to these places and played. And
So he played at the Grange. I heard there was some great dances up there.
oh yeah, there was great dances up there.
Huh.
Of course, at that time, the only drinking you could buy it in a bottle. That you couldn't. They didn't have the bars to go drinking.
Right.
You could get beer, but nothing else.
Uh-huh.
But up there, everybody had their bottle and come out, and they'd go in and dance a few dances, and then they'd
Go
get
out
a
to the
group
car.
of them. They'd all go out and hit the deal. My dad was not a drinker, but he was really well liked.
Yeah, I heard that. I have
Everybody-
heard that.
He always had to go out with it. But I said something to Dad sometime. I said, "How in the hell come you can sit there and do this all night?" And he said, "I'm not drinking." He said, "I just tip the bottle up and stick my tongue over the end of it, bring it down." And he wasn't drinking. He didn't.
He was smart.
Yeah, he just wasn't a drinker. Mom would never allow booze in the house.
Ah.
Tell her about when he bought the car.
Oh. In right after the war got out, well, Dad bought a '46 Ford, and probably right around '48. And Betty and I think Jackie Williams, they were in the front seat. Dad was sitting in the back. They were going up Gopher Valley on Saturday. Drum come out, and right down there by where Wilder's. Yeah,
Just above Smithfield Road.
Oh, okay.
yeah, right in there. This guy started over, and my sis just kept trying to get away from him. She run clear up on the bank, but he run right up there and smacked her head on. And anyway, it totaled that Ford out.
Oh.
So Norman was working up there for Ellsworth there. in Willamina. And a car lot there, and he knew the car salesman. So he got the car salesman, and him and Norman worked out a deal to come down and take Dad's car and sell him another one. So they come down, and it was a 48 Dodge. And the salesman come down, and he told Dad that he would take his car and so much money for that Dodge. And Dad sat there and scratched his head a bit. He says, "You're beating yourself. Here's an extra $50.
Norman had worked so hard all morning to get that
Norman
a
had
good
really
deal,
worked
you know.
hard. Norman couldn't believe it. But that's the way Dad was. In his mind, he was cheating that guy.
Oh.
He thought he was that wrecked car. He thought he was really cheating that guy.
Oh.
That was his idea of it.
That's sweet.
And you mentioned about Alexander.
Yes.
Okay. When Dad sold his place up there, he went down and bought Alta Sanderlands, and Alta and the Shorty, well, Shorty had already passed on.
Yeah.
He bought that place. After he bought it, then a year or so, maybe a year went by, and one of Dad's friends, a logger, come down there and said, "Well, there's probably a little bit of timber up there. I'd like to take that timber off." Dad says, "Okay." Back up on the steep hill there, really gets steep.
Right.
That last bit. And of course, that was all open down in there, around where the house is and all. That was all open.
Wow.
It was all pasture. But anyway, they took the timber off. It was darn near enough to pay for the place. And what did Dad do? Instead of saying, "Boy, look what a great deal I done," and so on and so forth, he went down and gave Alta. I think he gave her half of the money. Because he went down and told her, he says, I know that you didn't think about the timber up there. And he said, "I didn't buy it thinking about it." And it was a surprise.
And that helped her so much, I bet. Those are the men that we need again. Those are the type of men we need.
Well, that's just
It's amazing.
kind of a person.
That's an
Dad was.
amazing,
I mean, he was from the old school.
wonderful thing to do.
When there was right and wrong, and what was fair and what was wrong,
You helped each other.
Yeah.
And he knew in his heart that he needed to help. I bet you
Today, that happened today. People just grab it and think about how smart. Boy, I sure beat them.
Because at that time, didn't she have her kids still at home?
Yeah.
And was she living where she's at now?
That was before she married Alan.
I think so. No, she moved from where Shorty died down to where she's at now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is she still down there?
Oh yeah, I talked to her about 2 weeks ago.
I haven't seen her. I haven't seen her in years.
She's doing very well on the computer.
I haven't seen her in years.
I was
She was a real nice gal. I like that.
Oh, she's great. She was a good
And
one.
her husband Shorty, he was a great guy.
You have any stories about him?
Shorty.
Yeah.
The only thing I think about Shorty, he was one of the first to get a power chainsaw.
Oh.
Back in those days, they first came out with the big old two-man saws and trying to carry around, and then they came out with a little one-man saw. And Shorty bought one, and of course, timber companies hadn't got wise yet to the fact of how much they could cut, and they were still paying them like they were with the old crosscut. And there Shorty was back in when we were making maybe $8 a day. He was making 60 or 70. Yeah, he was really good, but he was really good with it.
Huh.
And, when he wore his first saw out was a little IEL, and he sold it to Dad. Dad bought it off him.
Really?
And Shorty bought a new saw. I don't remember what he bought.
Huh.
Those the first ones, they weren't all that good. Well, they were good little sons, but they were hard to keep running.
Right. I've heard that.